The stars shone brightly against the black of space. Captain Do-hyun Kim stood on the bridge of the KSS Baekdu, his hands clasped behind his back. The ship was the pride of the Korean Space Force and the best hope for Earth's defense. "Captain, we have something strange on our screens," said Lieutenant Ji-woo Park. His fingers moved quickly over the control panel. It just appeared out of nowhere. Do-hyun walked over to Ji-woo's station. On the screen was a large shape, bigger than any ship humans had ever built. "How did it get so close without our sensors picking it up?" Do-hyun asked. "I don't know, sir. One second there was nothing, and the next, this." Ji-woo zoomed in on the object. It was a ship, but not like any they had seen before. It was dark gray with sharp edges that looked like teeth. It was at least 10 times the size of the Baekdu. "Send a message to Earth Command," Do-hyun ordered, "and try to contact the ship." The crew moved quickly, following orders. For years, humans had searched the stars for other life. Now it seemed other life had found them. "Sir, we're getting a response from the alien ship," said the communications officer. The main screen lit up, showing a creature that made Do-hyun take a step back. It had pale blue skin with dark spots. Its eyes were large and black. 4 arms moved in front of its body as it spoke. "People of Earth," it said in perfect Korean. "I am Grand Admiral Zortek of the Void Rippers. Your planet is now under our control." Do-hyun straightened his back. "This is Captain Do-hyun Kim of Earth. We have no quarrel with you. We welcome peaceful contact with other species." Zortek made a sound like a laugh. "Peace is not our way, Captain. We have taken 17 worlds before yours. You will be the 18th. You can surrender and live as our servants, or fight and die. The choice is yours." The screen went black. "They've cut the connection," said the communications officer. Do-hyun turned to Ji-woo. "What do we know about their ship?" Ji-woo studied his screens. "Their ship has strange energy readings. There's a pattern here. It could be a weakness in their shields." "Keep studying it," Do-hyun ordered, "and send everything to Earth Command." 2 hours later, ships from all Earth nations had gathered in orbit. Leaders from around the world were meeting to discuss the alien threat. The Baekdu stayed close to the alien ship watching. "Captain," Ji-woo suddenly called out, "I'm picking up energy spikes from the alien ship." "What kind of—" Do-hyun started to ask. He never finished his question. A bright beam shot out from the alien ship, cutting through 3 Earth ships in one strike. More beams followed. "Evasive action," Do-hyun shouted. "Return fire." The Baekdu turned sharply, barely avoiding a beam. They fired their weapons, but the shots bounced off the alien ship's shields. "Sir, our weapons aren't working," Ji-woo reported. Around them, Earth ships exploded one after another. The attack had come without warning. There had been no time to prepare. "We need to retreat," Do-hyun said. "We have to save what data we have on their ships. But sir, the other ships will be destroyed, whether we stay or go. We need to survive to fight another day." With a heavy heart, Do-hyun ordered the ship to pull back. As they turned away, a beam caught the edge of the Baekdu. The ship shook violently. "Engines damaged," shouted the engineering officer. "We're losing power." "Can we make it to Earth?" Do-hyun asked. "Maybe, but we won't be able to control where we land." Do-hyun nodded. "Then aim for Asia. Try to get us as close to Korea as possible." As the Baekdu limped away from the battle, Do-hyun watched the screens. Earth's space fleet, which they had been so proud of, was being destroyed in minutes. The Baekdu fell through Earth's atmosphere like a meteor. Warning alarms blared as the ship heated up. "Brace for impact," Do-hyun shouted. The ship crashed into a mountainside in rural Korea. The impact threw Do-hyun against a wall, knocking the air from his lungs. When he could breathe again, he looked around the bridge. Smoke filled the air and sparks flew from damaged equipment. "Ji-woo," he called. "Here, sir." Ji-woo pulled himself up from the floor, blood running down his face from a cut on his forehead. "Check for survivors," Do-hyun ordered, "and save all the data we have." They found only 12 crew members still alive out of 50. The ship was beyond repair. Using emergency equipment, they climbed out of the wreckage. Standing on the mountainside, they could see Seoul in the distance, and above it, dozens of smaller alien ships were descending from the sky. "They're starting a ground invasion," Jiwoo said. Do-Yun nodded grimly. "We need to find shelter and contact any military forces still fighting." As they made their way down the mountain, they saw bright flashes over Seoul. The aliens were bombing the city. "There's a research center in the mountains," said one of the surviving crew members. "It's underground. It might be safe." With no better options, they headed for the research center. The journey took hours. They had to hide several times as alien ships flew overhead. When they finally reached the center, they found the entrance sealed. Do-Hyun knocked on the heavy metal door. "Who's there?" came a woman's voice from a speaker. "Captain Do-Hyun Kim of the KSS Baekdu. We need shelter." There was a pause, then the door slowly opened. A woman in a lab coat stood there, a gun in her hand. "Come in quickly," she said, looking at the sky. Once they were inside, the door sealed behind them. "I'm scientist Subin Lee," the woman said. "This was a weapon research facility. Most of the staff left to be with their families when we heard about the alien ship." "You stayed," Do-Hyun noted. Subin nodded. "I was working on something that might help us. A new kind of weapon." She led them deeper into the facility, down several levels. The lights flickered occasionally. "We have a small nuclear generator," she explained. "It should keep us powered for months. We also have food, water, and medical supplies." In a large lab, she showed them what she had been working on. It looked like a rifle, but with strange attachments. "It uses focused electromagnetic pulses," Subin explained. "In theory, it could disrupt advanced technology." "Like alien ships?" Jiwoo asked. "Maybe. I haven't been able to test it." Do-Hyun looked at the weapon, then at the small group of survivors. "It wasn't much, but it was a start. We need to find out what's happening out there," he said, "and we need to contact any other survivors." They set up the facility's communications equipment. The news was bad. Cities around the world were under attack. Governments were falling. The aliens, the Void Rippers, were taking over. "What do we do now, Captain?" Jiwoo asked. Do-Hyun looked at the faces around him. They were scared, but they were also strong. They were human. "Now," he said, "we fight back. They think they've won. They think we're just victims. But Earth doesn't make victims, it makes hunters, and we're going to hunt them." Subin smiled grimly. "I have enough materials to make more weapons, and this facility has detailed maps of the area." "Good," Do-Hyun said. "We'll start small, gather information, find others who want to fight. The Void Rippers think they've conquered us, but they've just walked into the den of the most dangerous species in the galaxy." Outside, alien ships continued to fly over. The invasion of Earth was well underway. But in the underground facility, something else was beginning. Not surrender, not acceptance. The hunt. 5 years had passed since the day humans took back their planet. Earth had changed in ways no one could have imagined before the invasion. The old nations still existed, but they worked together now, united by their shared experience. Do-Hyun stood on the bridge of a new ship. It was called the KSS Ghostwolf, named after the resistance movement that had saved humanity. But unlike the old Baekdu, this ship was not just human technology. It was a mix of Earth science and Void Ripper tech, stronger than either one alone. "Admiral Kim," Jiwoo said, walking onto the bridge. "The fleet is ready." Do-Hyun nodded. He was an admiral now in charge of Earth's new space force. "Show me." A large screen lit up, showing dozens of ships floating in space around Earth. Some were small and fast, designed for scouting. Others were large battleships built for war. All of them represented humanity's determination to never be victims again. "It's time to address the fleet," Jiwoo said. Do-Hyun took a deep breath and activated the communication system. His face would now be visible on every ship in the fleet. "Men and women of Earth," he began. 5 years ago, we fought to take back our home. We succeeded because we refused to surrender. We turned the tables on our enemy and became the hunters instead of the hunted." He paused, looking at the faces of his crew. Many of them had fought alongside him during the resistance. Today, we take the next step. We go beyond our own solar system for the first time. Not as conquerors, but as protectors. Not just of Earth, but of all worlds that suffer under the Void Ripper Empire. From the information they had taken from Grand Admiral Zortek, they knew the Empire controlled 17 other worlds, planets whose people had been enslaved for decades or even centuries. Our mission is clear, Do-hyun continued. We will establish a defensive perimeter around neighboring star systems. We will scout the Void Ripper Empire's territory, and we will bring hope to those who have none. As he finished speaking, a woman entered the bridge. It was Subin, now the lead scientist of the fleet. The final checks are complete, she reported. The new drive systems are ready. The drive systems were perhaps the most important technology they had taken from the Void Rippers. They allowed ships to travel faster than light, jumping between stars in days instead of years. Thank you, Dr. Lee, Do-hyun said. Prepare for departure. Subin nodded and left the bridge. She would be traveling on a different ship, leading a team of scientists to study the alien civilizations they would encounter. Ji-woo, who would command the Stealth Reconnaissance Division, checked the final reports on his screen. All ships report. Ready, Admiral, he said. And the Earth Hunters? Do-hyun asked. Ready and eager, a voice said from behind him. Ha-jun and Minji walked onto the bridge. They were in charge of the Earth Hunters, special forces trained to operate on alien worlds. After years of fighting Void Rippers on Earth, they had become experts in alien combat. We've been waiting for this day, Ha-jun said. My teams are prepared for whatever we find out there. Minji added, the new equipment works perfectly. We can disable any Void Ripper technology we encounter. Do-hyun looked at his friends. They had come so far from the day they crashed in the Korean mountains, from a small group of survivors to the leaders of humanity's first interstellar fleet. Then there's nothing left to do but begin, he said. Ji-woo, give the order. Ji-woo sent the command to all ships. One by one, the vessels of Earth's fleet activated their drives. Space seemed to bend around them, and they vanished from Earth's orbit, jumping to their first destination. Their target was the Kepler-186 system, home to the planet Kepler-186f. According to the information from Zortek, this world had been under Void Ripper control for over 100 years. Its people, a species called the Talarians, still maintained a small resistance movement. The journey took 5 days. When the fleet arrived at the edge of the system, they immediately went into stealth mode. Ji-woo's reconnaissance ships moved ahead, gathering information about the Void Ripper presence. 4 battlecruisers in orbit around Kepler-186f, Ji-woo reported after his ships returned. Several bases on the surface. They've strip-mined large parts of the planet. Do-hyun studied the images on his screen. The planet below was blue and green, not unlike Earth, but there were large brown patches where forests and fields had been destroyed by Void Ripper mining operations. Can we contact the Resistance? He asked. Minji, who had been working on communications, nodded. We've picked up encrypted signals from the surface. They're using an old Talarian language, but our translators can handle it. Send them a message, Do-hyun ordered. Let them know we're here to help. While they waited for a response, Do-hyun met with his command team to plan their approach. We should use the Tiger strategy, Ha-jun suggested. Isolate each battle cruiser and take them out, one by one. Agreed, Do-hyun said. But we need to coordinate with the Talarian Resistance. This is their world, not ours. A few hours later, they received a response from the surface. The Talarian Resistance was small, but still fighting. They were willing to work with the humans. They've sent us the locations of the main Void Ripper bases, Ji-woo said, showing the information on a map. And they say there's a labor camp here with thousands of Talarians. Do-hyun studied the map, then made his decision. We'll attack the orbital cruisers first, to prevent them from bombarding the surface. Then we'll land and help the Talarians take back their world. The plan was set in motion. Earth's fleet moved into position, using the techniques they had developed fighting the Void Rippers. The alien ships were powerful, but they were facing an enemy unlike any they had encountered. Before the battle was fierce but quick, the Void Rippers had not expected to find humans so far from Earth. They certainly hadn't expected humans with technology as advanced as their own. Within hours, the 4 battle cruisers had been captured or destroyed. Hajun's Earth Hunters boarded the Void Ripper command ship and took control, disabling its weapons before they could be used against the planet below. Then came the ground assault. Human ships landed near the labor camp, and the Earth Hunters moved in. They used Earth's breath to weaken the alien guards, then freed the Talarian prisoners. The Talarians were tall, thin beings with pale blue skin. They had been fighting the Void Rippers for generations, never giving up despite overwhelming odds. Now, with human help, they finally had a chance to win. One of the Talarian leaders approached Do-hyun after the labor camp was secured. "Why?" the alien asked in a translated voice. "Why would you help us? You don't know us." "Because we were like you once," Do-hyun replied. "Our world was invaded. We were nearly conquered, but we refused to be victims." He told the Talarian about Earth's struggle, about how humanity had turned the tables on their invaders. "Now we're taking that fight to the stars," Do-hyun said, "not to conquer, but to free those who suffer under the Void Rippers." The Talarian looked at him with large, expressive eyes. "Then we will fight with you, not just for our world, but for all worlds." As the sun set over Kepler 186f, Do-hyun stood, with Jiwoo, Subin, Hajun, and Minji, watching Talarians and humans working together to rebuild. "This is just the beginning," Do-hyun said. "There are 16 more worlds to free. And then the Void Ripper homeworld itself." "It won't be easy," Jiwoo warned. "The further we go into their territory, the stronger their forces will be." "We know," Do-hyun agreed. "But we've faced impossible odds before. Earth didn't make us victims. It made us hunters. And now the whole galaxy will learn what that means." As stars began to appear in the alien sky, Earth's fleet prepared for their next jump. The hunt had gone beyond their world now. It had spread to the stars themselves, and it would not end until all worlds were free from those who would make them victims. 2 weeks after their meeting, Do-hyun's plan was ready. They called it Operation Homecoming. It would be the biggest attack against the Void Rippers since the invasion. In a large underground room, Do-hyun addressed hundreds of resistance fighters from around the world. Some were there in person, others watched through video links. "Today we take back our home," Do-hyun said. "For too long we've been hiding and striking from the shadows. Now we bring the fight to them." The plan had 3 parts. First, they would attack the main Void Ripper base in what used to be Rio de Janeiro. This would draw attention away from their real target, the orbital command platform where Grand Admiral Zortek controlled all Void Ripper forces on Earth. While the aliens were distracted, Hajun and Minji would lead a team to capture more alien shuttles. Then Do-hyun and Jiwoo would lead the main attack on the orbital platform. "It won't be easy," Do-hyun told them. "Many of us won't come back, but if we succeed, we can cripple their command structure and take back our planet." The room was quiet. Everyone knew the risks, but they also knew this was their best chance to win. "When do we start?" Hajun asked. "Tomorrow," Do-hyun replied. At dawn, the attack on Rio began exactly as planned. Resistance fighters from all over South America hit the alien base with everything they had. They used Earth's breath to weaken the aliens and EMP devices to disable their technology. The Void Rippers were caught by surprise. They had grown used to humans attacking small patrols, not a major base. They called for reinforcements from around the world. Meanwhile, on the Korean peninsula, Hajun and Minji led their team to a smaller alien base where 3 shuttles were kept. Using the Tiger strategy, they isolated the base from communication, then moved in quickly. "Remember," Hajun told his team, "we need those shuttles intact. Use EMPs on the aliens near the ships." The battle was fierce but quick. The humans had become skilled fighters over the past year. They knew how to use the aliens' weaknesses against them. Minji reached the first shuttle and got inside. She had studied the captured shuttle for months and knew how to fly it. "I'm in," she called over the radio. "Starting the engines." Hajun and his team secured the other 2 shuttles. They had lost 3 people in the attack, but they had achieved their objective. Shuttles secured, Hajun reported to Do-hyun. We're ready for Phase 3. In orbit around Earth, the Void Ripper command platform was in chaos. Reports were coming in from Rio about a major human attack. Grand Admiral Zortek was sending all available forces to crush the resistance. Sir, Sub-Admiral Zeltor reported, we're detecting 3 shuttles approaching from Korea. Our shuttles? Zortek asked. Yes, sir. They're transmitting the correct codes. Let them dock, Zortek ordered. We need all forces for this attack. The 3 shuttles docked with the command platform, but instead of Void Ripper soldiers, Do-hyun, Ji-woo, and 50 of their best fighters emerged. They immediately released Earth's breath into the platform's air system. The aliens on board began to weaken. Some fell to their knees, struggling to breathe. Others tried to fight back, but their movements were slow and uncoordinated. Do-hyun led his team through the platform, heading for the command center. Along the way, they planted EMP devices at key points. All teams, Do-hyun said into his radio, activate EMPs on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. All over the platform, the EMP devices activated. Alien technology shut down, weapons stopped working, doors froze in place. The humans, with their simpler technology, were unaffected. They continued their advance, taking control of section after section. In the command center, Grand Admiral Zortek realized what was happening. Seal the command center, he ordered. Don't let the humans in. But it was too late. The doors to the command center opened, and Do-hyun walked in with his team. The aliens inside were weak from Earth's breath and couldn't put up much of a fight. In minutes, the command center was under human control. Zortek was captured. The rest of his officers surrendered or were killed. Ji-woo, Do-hyun said, take control of their systems. Shut down all Void Ripper technology on Earth. Ji-woo went to work on the alien computers. He had spent months studying their technology and could operate it almost as well as they could. I have control, he said after several minutes. Sending the shutdown command now. All across Earth, Void Ripper weapons, vehicles, and equipment suddenly stopped working. In Rio, the aliens fighting the resistance found themselves defenseless. In every city, town, and base, the invaders lost their technological advantage. Resistance cells around the world had been waiting for this moment. They launched coordinated attacks against the confused and weakened aliens. It wasn't a fair fight. It was a hunt. Back on the command platform, Do-hyun stood before the captured Grand Admiral Zortek. The alien leader was secured to a chair, still affected by Earth's breath. Why? Zortek asked, his voice weak. How could you defeat us? You are a lesser species. Your technology is primitive. Your world is divided. You should have surrendered. That was your first mistake, Do-hyun said. You thought we would give up. But Earth doesn't make victims. It makes survivors. It makes hunters. 17 worlds, Zortek said. We conquered 17 worlds before yours. None fought back like this. Then they weren't like us, Do-hyun replied. Humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We've learned to adapt, to overcome stronger enemies with strategy and determination. Dr. Hyunsu, who had come with them to study the Alien Command Center, added, your species evolved as apex predators. You never learned to be prey. Humans evolved alongside predators. We know what it's like to be hunted, and how to become hunters ourselves. Zortek looked at the humans surrounding him. For the first time in his life, he felt fear, real fear, the kind his species had never experienced before. What will you do with me, he asked. First, Do-hyun said, you're going to tell us everything about your empire, the location of your homeworld, the defenses of your fleet, the worlds you've conquered. And then we're going to free those 17 worlds you enslaved, and make sure you never threaten another planet again. Through Ji-woo's control of the alien communication system, Do-hyun sent a message to all resistance cells on Earth. Operation Homecoming successful. The enemy command is captured. Their technology is disabled. The liberation of Earth has begun. Cheers erupted from resistance fighters around the world. After more than a year of occupation, the tide had turned. Humans were taking back their planet. But Do-hyun knew this wasn't the end. The Void Ripper Empire would eventually notice the loss of contact with Earth. They would send more ships, more soldiers. We need to prepare, he told his team as they secured the command platform. This was just the first battle. The war isn't over. Jiwoo nodded. But now we have their technology, their knowledge. We can build defenses, weapons. And when they come back, Hajun added with a grim smile, we'll be ready to hunt them again. 1 year had passed since the Void Rippers took control of Earth. What began as a small group hiding in an underground facility had grown into a global resistance. Ghostwolf now had bases on every continent, all connected through secret communications. The main base in Korea, Do-hyun looked at the alien shuttle they had captured during the rescue mission in Australia. Scientists and engineers worked around it, learning its secrets. Any progress? He asked Jiwoo, who was studying the shuttle's communication system. Yes, Jiwoo said with a smile. I've cracked their code. We can now listen to all Void Ripper communications. This was a huge breakthrough. For months they had been fighting blind, never knowing the aliens' plans until it was too late. What have you learned? Do-hyun asked. Many things, Jiwoo said. The most important is how they think. They follow a strict chain of command. Every soldier waits for orders. They don't think for themselves. That's why they're so powerful as a large force, Do-hyun realized, but weak when cut off from their leaders. Jiwoo nodded. Exactly, and there's more. They're having trouble controlling Earth. The other planets they conquered gave up quickly. We didn't. This news spread quickly through Ghostwolf. Humans weren't just fighting back. They were causing real problems for the invaders. Dr. Hyun-Soo Yoon had set up a lab where he studied Void Ripper biology. He had collected samples from dead aliens after battles. They have a different respiratory system than humans, he explained to Do-hyun and the others. They breathe a mix of gases similar to Earth's air, but with some differences. Subin, who was working with Dr. Yoon, added, we're developing something we call Earth's breath. It's a gas that affects their breathing but not ours. Will it kill them? Hajun asked. No, Dr. Yoon said, but it will make them weak and confused for several hours, long enough for us to overwhelm them. Meanwhile, Minji had been improving her jamming devices. She showed her latest creation to the group. This is a portable EMP, she explained. It can disable all alien technology within 50 meters, but it won't affect our human tech. How is that possible? Do-hyun asked. Their systems work on different principles than ours, Minji said. They use quantum entanglement for their tech. It's more advanced but also more vulnerable to certain types of interference. With these new weapons, Do-hyun developed what he called the Tiger strategy. He explained it during a global meeting with resistance leaders from around the world. Korean, tigers were famous for their hunting style, he said. They didn't attack large groups. They isolated one target, cut it off from the herd, and then moved in for the kill. The plan was simple but effective. They would use Minji's jammers to cut off small groups of aliens from their command. Then they would use Earth's breath to weaken them and finally attack with conventional weapons. Hajun trained special hunting teams for this purpose. They moved silently through the ruins of cities tracking alien patrols. They learned to think like predators. Remember, he told his teams, we're not soldiers anymore, we're hunters, and they are our prey. The first major test of the Tiger strategy came in what used to be Berlin. A Void Ripper patrol of 20 aliens was moving through the city center. Hajun's team watched from the shadows. They waited until the patrol was far from any backup, then activated Minji's jammer. Immediately, the aliens' communications went dead. The Void Rippers became agitated trying to contact their base. They moved closer together, weapons ready. Then came the second part of the plan. Small canisters were thrown among the aliens, releasing Earth's breath. The gas was invisible and odorless to humans, but the aliens could sense it. They began to move slowly, their coordination failing. Now, Hajun whispered into his radio. His team moved in from all sides, using EMP rifles to disable the aliens' weapons. The fight was over in minutes. Not a single human was lost. This scene repeated across the globe. In New York, Moscow, Cairo, and dozens of other cities, Hunting teams isolated and eliminated alien patrols. For the first time, the Void Rippers were experiencing something new: fear. They were used to being the predators, not the prey. Now they were being hunted, and they didn't know how to handle it. On the main Void Ripper command ship in orbit around Earth, Grand Admiral Zortek was angry. Reports were coming in from all over the planet about lost patrols and failed missions. How is this possible? He demanded of his officers. They are a primitive species. They should be serving us by now, not fighting back with increasing skill. His second-in-command, Sub-Admiral Zeltor, replied, "Sir, we're seeing something unusual. The humans are adapting to our tactics faster than any species we've encountered, and they're using our own technology against us. Increase our forces," Zortek ordered. "Send more troops to the major resistance areas." "Sir," Zeltor said hesitantly, "there's another problem. Some of our soldiers are refusing to go on patrols." "What?" Zortek couldn't believe it. In the entire history of the Void Ripper Empire, no soldier had ever refused an order. "They're afraid," Zeltor admitted. "The humans don't fight like other species. They don't attack in large groups that we can easily defeat. They hunt us one by one from the shadows. Our soldiers are calling Earth the Death World." Zortek stood, silent for a moment. This was unprecedented. The mighty Void Ripper Empire, which had conquered 17 worlds with ease, was being challenged by a supposedly inferior species. "Find their bases," he finally ordered. "Use our orbital scanners. Find where these resistance fighters are hiding, and we will crush them once and for all." Back in the Korean base, Jiwoo listened to the Void Ripper communications with growing excitement. "They're scared," he told Do-hyun. "Their soldiers don't want to come to Earth anymore, and they're planning to use their orbital scanners to find our bases." Do-hyun smiled. "Good. That means our strategy is working, and now we know their next move." He called a meeting with all the leaders of Ghost Wolf. Subin and Dr. Yoon had finished, producing enough Earth's breath for a major operation. Minji had built hundreds of EMP devices. Hajun's hunting teams were ready for larger targets. "The time has come to move from defense to offense," Do-hyun told them. "The aliens are getting desperate. They're going to use their orbital scanners to find us." "What do we do?" Subin asked. "We give them a target," Do-hyun said. "One they can't resist. And when they come for us, we'll be ready." He pointed to the alien shuttle they had captured. "And then we're going to take the fight to them, in space." The room fell silent as everyone realized what he was suggesting. It was bold, maybe even crazy. But after a year of fighting back from the shadows, they were ready to step into the light. The hunters were about to corner their prey. 6 months had passed since the Void Rippers came to Earth. The planet was different now. Huge alien buildings stood in what used to be major cities. These were processing centers, where the aliens took Earth's resources and people. In the underground facility in the Korean mountains, Do-hyun looked at a map spread across a table. Red marks showed alien bases. Blue marks showed human resistance groups. There weren't enough blue marks. "Captain, the team from Busan has arrived," Jiwoo said, entering the room. Do-hyun nodded. "Good. Bring them in." A group of 5 people followed Jiwoo into the room. They looked tired and thin, but their eyes were sharp and alert. At the front was a tall man with short black hair and a scar across his chin. "Captain Kim," the man said with a small bow. "I'm Hajun Cho, former Special Forces. Welcome to Ghost Wolf," Do-hyun said. That was the name they had given their resistance group. In the months since the invasion, they had connected with other survivors. They used old radio equipment and secret codes to talk to resistance cells around the world. "Tell me about Busan," Do-hyun said. Hajun's face darkened. "It's a processing center now. The aliens are taking people every day. Some go to work camps. Others—" He stopped, his hands tightening into fists. "We don't know what happens to the others." A woman stepped forward from Hajun's group. "I'm Minji Kang. I was an engineer before the invasion. I've been studying the alien tech." She placed a small device on the table. It looked like a mix of human and alien technology. What is it? Jiwoo asked. A jammer, Minji explained. It can block the alien signals for a short time. We used it to escape Busan. Subin picked up the device, her eyes wide with interest. This could help with my weapons. Over the past months, Subin had made more of her electromagnetic pulse rifles. They had used them in small attacks against the aliens. The weapons worked, but not for long. The aliens would adapt quickly. Come, Do-hyun said. I'll show you what we've built here. He led Ha-jun's group through the facility. What had once been a small research center was now the headquarters of Ghost Wolf. They had expanded it, digging more rooms and tunnels. We have about 100 people here, Do-hyun explained. Some are fighters. Others are scientists, doctors, engineers. We all work together. And what exactly do you do? Ha-jun asked. We fight back, Do-hyun said simply. We hit small targets, we gather information, and we look for the alien's weakness. Ha-jun nodded. My team can help with that. We're doing the same in Busan, but with fewer resources. Later that day, they gathered for a meeting. Subin showed everyone the latest weapons she had developed with her team. This is what we call the thunderclap, she said, holding up a small round device. It creates a stronger EMP than our rifles. It can disable an alien ship long enough for us to attack. And this, Minji added, showing her own device, can jam their communications. If we use them together, we can isolate alien groups and take them down. Do-hyun looked at the gathered faces. With Ha-jun's team, they were stronger, but they needed more. We have news from other resistance groups, Jiwoo said, turning on a radio. The Americans have found something. A voice crackled through the radio. Ghost Wolf, this is Eagle's Nest. We've located a high-value target. A labor camp in Australia. They're holding a scientist there, Dr. Hyun-soo Yoon. Do-hyun leaned forward. Why is he important? He was studying the aliens up close, learning about them. He sent out a message saying he knows their weakness. The room went quiet. A weakness. It was what they had been searching for. We need to get him out, Do-hyun said. That's why we're contacting you, the American voice said. Our teams are too far away. You're closer. Do-hyun looked at Ha-jun. Would your team be up for a rescue mission? Ha-jun smiled for the first time. It was not a kind smile. Rescuing people and killing aliens? That's what we do best. 2 weeks later, Ha-jun's team, along with Jiwoo and some of Ghost Wolf's best fighters, set out for Australia. They traveled in a small submarine that had once belonged to the Korean Navy. It was one of the few human vehicles that still worked without being detected by the aliens. The journey was long and dangerous. They had to avoid alien patrols in the sea and in the air, but they made it to the Australian coast under the cover of night. The labor camp was built where Sydney once stood. It was surrounded by high walls with alien guards. Using Minji's jammer and Subin's EMP devices, they managed to create a blind spot in the alien security. Remember, Ha-jun told the team, we get in, find Dr. Yoon, and get out. No unnecessary risks. They moved silently through the camp, avoiding guards and using hand signals to communicate. The camp was full of humans, thin and tired, working to process Earth's resources for the aliens. They found Dr. Hyun-soo Yoon in a special section of the camp. Unlike the other prisoners, he wasn't being forced to work. Instead, he was in a small room with alien devices. Dr. Yoon, Jiwoo whispered, opening the door to his room. A thin man with glasses looked up, surprised. Who are you? We're with Ghost Wolf. We've come to rescue you. Dr. Yoon quickly gathered some small devices and notes. We need to hurry. They'll check on me soon. As they made their way back through the camp, an alarm suddenly blared. They had been discovered. Run! Ha-jun ordered. They raced through the camp, aliens in pursuit. Jiwoo and the others used their EMP rifles to disable the aliens they couldn't avoid. They reached the hole they had cut in the fence, but more aliens were coming. Go! Ha-jun shouted, pushing Dr. Yoon through the hole. I'll hold them off. Minji grabbed his arm. Not alone, you won't. Together, Ha-jun and Minji set up their last EMP device. The others made it through the fence and ran for the shore where the submarine waited. The EMP device exploded in a flash. of blue light, disabling the aliens' weapons and armor. Ha-Jun and Minji used the confusion to escape, running to catch up with the others. They all made it to the submarine and dove beneath the waves just as alien ships arrived above. That was too close, Jiwoo said, catching his breath. Dr. Yoon looked at the team that had rescued him. Thank you. What you did was very brave. We heard you know the aliens' weakness, Ha-Jun said. Dr. Yoon nodded. Not just one weakness, several. I've been studying them since they took me. Their biology, their psychology, their society. And? Do-hyun asked. They're apex predators, Dr. Yoon explained. On their world, they were always the hunters, never the hunted. They don't know what it's like to be prey. How does that help us? Minji asked. It means they don't understand fear the way we do, Dr. Yoon said. Humans evolved alongside predators. We know what it's like to be hunted. And we learned how to become hunters ourselves. Do-hyun thought about this. So, we use their lack of experience against them. We make them feel what it's like to be hunted. Dr. Yoon smiled. Exactly, and I know just how to do it. As the submarine headed back to Korea, they began to plan. For the first time since the invasion, they had real hope. The Void Rippers had conquered many worlds, but Earth was different. Earth didn't make victims, it trained hunters, and the hunt was just beginning.